Welcome to DubLife Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host, and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up, because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. All right. Welcome back to DubLife Diaries. Today's guest is a promoter. He's a hardcore VW enthusiast, and he is the founder of Bug Invasion. This one's going to be one of those stories where cars saved a life, where communities rewrote the future, and where sobriety kind of changed everything. Our guest today is Colton Bugman Williams. Welcome to DubLife Diaries.
Thank you, Joe.
You are welcome, brother. You are so welcome. This is going to be a good one, man. I think this one's
I'm excited.
Probably touch the heartstrings of a lot of folks. I really appreciate your willingness to come on, man. Thank you. Before we get going just too deep into it, I do want to give a shout out to a couple sponsors you guys know already. First up on the list is Volksmania magazine. You guys know how I feel. I feel these guys are the flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet, and you know why. It's the people. It's not just the quality of the pages, which, by the way, pretty dope as well. The quality is there. You guys can check them out, Volksmania.com. Use DubLife10, DUBLIFE, the number 10 at checkout. You'll get 10% off of your first subscription issue. This is U.S. subscribers only. How cool is it that I got to say that?
That's awesome.
That I have to say U.S. only. Yeah, pretty cool. Also, shout out to Salty Dub. From the beach to the bay, Salty Dub is tearing up the coastal VW scene with events, with swag. You can check those guys out, saltydub.com. Same discount code applies, DubLife10. Only works on merch, and that could be from all over the world. So log in, check those guys out. All right, my friend, back to you. All done with the shout-outs.
Works for me.
So look, man, before we get into cars, before we get into car shows, before we talk about Bug Invasion, I want to ask you, how are you really doing right now?
Man, I'm good. For the first time in my life, I could say I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I'm good.
Okay. I can take that. And I have a feeling this is going to get into all the why behind that. This is going to be awesome. When I got your background and your story, I was excited, you know, because this is kind of, what we look for. We look for, I'm a podcast guy. I look for stories. Yeah. I look for stuff like this. So again, thank you, brother, for coming on. So Tell me a little bit about your backstory. All right. What were cars like for you in your house growing up?
I mean, my dad always had anything from old Monte Carlos to T-buckets and coupes. I mean, I always grew up hot rod cars, street rods. Then my buddies had imports and mini trucks. So I kind of grew up with a variety of everything. Then I had a few friends that had old Bugs, but I never really thought much of it. I was like, oh, it's a Volkswagen. And then I drove one and I'm like, wow, this is awesome.
Then you were like, yo, it's a Volkswagen.
And I'm like, there's other cars out there now?
I know your backstory and kind of what you told me. You bounced around between imports, like you just said, mini trucks, lifted trucks. In your childhood, more or less, when you were, getting into cars and the car scene, what were you really searching for back then?
I always wanted a muscle car starting up, but it's not, logical for a 16-year-old. You want something safe and reliable. And everybody knows carburetors aren't the most reliable cars. So I got a Chevy Cobalt. My parents thought it'd be safe, and then I ended up souping it up and nitrous, running on E85 and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Wow.
And I got in more trouble than I should have had. I kind of went down from there, and then I got a lifted Tahoe and kind of just changed it up over the years. And then I finally got my first Volkswagen, and then it's been downhill from there.
Right on. Now, cars, when you were growing up, what did they feel like for you? Was it an escape? Was it a hobby?
No, I mean, it was a hobby, because it was the same thing. My dad grew up hanging out at the local spot, So I was like, oh, I kind of want to be like my dad, like every boy does. And then I would always go to the car shows with him, the local car meets with him. And then I kind of so I always say, like, I get along with older people better than I do people my own age, because that's what I grew up around. And they're more interesting. They have better stories, and they don't want to just get shit-faced all the time. And do stupid stuff.
Right. Which I can appreciate because I don't either. Maybe at one point in my life, but
Yeah.
again, not about me. It's all about you. So early on, then, did you feel like, with through cars or through the car community, did you feel like you had fit in anywhere, or was this kind of your spot with the older guys with that scene?
I always felt that I fit in with the older crowd, but then once I got into like the imports and stuff, started hanging out with around people my own age, I was like, okay, I'm kind of feel out of place. Like, and I kind of felt like, all right, this isn't me. Like, this isn't what I'm interested in. Like, I want an old car, but I can't afford an old car, and I can't afford to build an old car. And as I got older, I was like, okay, I'll start putting money here, start putting money here, and eventually, I mean, I still don't have the money to build a car, but I don't think anybody does. But no, it's just kind of just like I needed to find my place just to fit in with the right group that wasn't going to get me into too much trouble. And that's where it came with the Volkswagen. It was like a whole different world. I always considered myself like a hot rodder. And when I first got my Volkswagen, I was like, oh, I'm not a Volkswagen guy. I'm going to park with the hot rods. And around the Volkswagen guys, and I'm like, wow, these people are awesome.
You had mentioned kind of early on that you kind of felt like you didn't really belong in a lot of areas, I guess in your youth. uh,
Mm.
Kind of saying that, how early did you start to feel like you did or you didn't belong in any of these scenes?
I mean, honestly, it was like probably like elementary school. I mean, because I was always the odd kid out. I was the pale kid with red hair, and I never felt like I really fit in. I was bullied my whole life, and then even in early years as an adult, I still kept getting bullied. I'm like, wow, is this ever going to stop?
Wow.
And then I finally just found my right group and the right people, and just kind of stuck with it.
So describe for me so everybody can hear, and everybody can learn from this. What did bullying look like for you growing up? And then what did it look like for you into adulthood?
I mean, growing up, it was depressing, and didn't make me want to go to school. So I mean, when I was at school, I didn't want to do anything. And it was also the fact like school wasn't interesting for me because I knew what I wanted to do in life. And then it just got to the point where I was like, it's never going to stop. School doesn't want to do anything about it. I don't want to get in trouble by taking care of it myself. So it's kind of just like, just deal with it and hope it gets better. And then I was always told, maybe bullies will leave you alone if you laugh with them. Tried that and it never really worked. I had somebody recently say, what advice could you give to somebody that's being bullied? I'm like, teach them to fight.
Wow. You
I'm like,
hear that
that's
a lot.
really,
You hear that
like,
a
that's
lot.
really the only answer nowadays is just, you got to defend yourself. Like, say, look, you're not going to mess with me.
Right. You take a stand. So my son is into a lot of MMA, and through him
Mhm.
growing up through MMA, I've always been kind of an MMA fan. And you hear a lot of the pro fighters, they say that type of stuff, right? They say
Mhm.
they got bullied when they were young, etc. Always kind of the oddball, and they talk about that, right? A lot. They talk about, look, if you're going to get bullied and picked on, you better learn how to fight, right?
Exactly.
And then they become UFC champions, etc. So pretty cool. But tell me, in your youth, how did it end up kind of shaping how you would see yourself?
I mean, I saw myself, I pretty much took what they said to heart. I was like, I'm the weirdo. I'm the kid with the red hair. I'm the kid with pale skin. And then I ended up, as I got older, I covered myself with tattoos. I was like, well, if you can't see the pale skin, then it's not really there.
I'll cut deep on this one, I'm sure, but you openly shared with me that you had contemplated taking your life multiple times when you were young.
Mm.
What goes through somebody's head when, to even admit that, to say that, and then to say multiple times? What goes through your head during those moments?
It's kind of just like you get, you bottle everything up so much, especially if you don't talk to anybody about it. You bottle it up and it just kind of feels like there's no exit from it. It's not going to get better. It's not going to get better. So if like the only really outcome is just to end it. And you
Mm.
feel like everything will get better. Like your family will be happier because they don't have to deal with you being depressed. They don't have to worry anymore. And that way everybody can just go back to living their life.
So looking back on it now, what do you wish maybe someone would have said to you back then about that topic?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, because there's not really, I don't think if anybody said anything, I don't think it would have changed because I wouldn't affect what was going on in life. It's not like my home life, my family life was perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. I grew up, I had every toy I ever wanted, every go-kart, dirt bike. Family life was perfect, but as soon as I left the house, I didn't want to do anything. So it's just like, okay, like I'm gonna get pushed around, I'm gonna get kicked, I'm gonna get bullied, like,
Dang.
but I mean, other than bullying, I mean, I had a pretty good childhood. I'm very thankful for that.
So how old were you when alcohol entered the picture for you?
I started really drinking when I was 18. I would go to parties with friends. And then I never really got out of hand until like COVID hit. Even as when I turned 21, I wasn't a huge drinker. I was more of a social drinker. And then COVID hit, and it was just kind of like, what do I do? I wasn't working at the time, so I just sat around and drank all day. And then it turned from there, I mean, because it was just beers. I was like, okay, I'm fine. Like I'm casual. I can probably shouldn't have been driving, but I mean, I would go out, run my errands, have a beer on the cup holder, and didn't really think much of it. And then as time went on, my depression kind of came back through, and I was like, okay, like just drown my feelings with beer. And then it got worse and worse. So I started picking up vodka, and that's when it really turned downhill. I was drinking vodka out of Sprite bottles, same thing, having a Sprite bottle full of vodka, water bottle full of vodka, and just drink it throughout the day.
And were you numbing something at this point, or was it just survival at this point?
I mean, it was kind of a mixture of both. So I felt like if I numbed the pain, that it wouldn't be there. It was a mixture of numbing physical pain and mental pain. I've had knee issues for as long as I can remember. And because I'm so young, doctors don't want to treat it. And there's no way to really treat it. So I was kind of numbing that pain as well as all the mental pain from just being in debt, being depressed, and everything else that goes on in life.
Yeah, it stacks up. And then on top of that, enter COVID. That wasn't easy for any of us to deal with,
Yeah.
you know, between vaccinations and masks and travel and or not. I was teaching classes in Texas back then,
Hmm.
and I remember well, number one, there were a lot of students that didn't want to travel. But if I did
Yeah.
get lucky enough to get the very few students that did want to travel, Texas had laws where I had to, through the, education, I had to take
Hmm.
their temperature. I had to, do stuff
Yeah.
in class every morning and make sure that we weren't, having a super spreader event. It was like it was
Exactly.
it was wild, man. It was wild. But again, not about me.
Hmm.
So at what moment or what point did you realize maybe, this might not be the path. This is killing me.
Honestly, so, I mean, I'm 32, and I really kind of noticed. So I always used to say, like, I hated the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Especially when they said it in high school, like, oh, like, probably dead.
Damn, that's
And
heavy.
then, I mean, 'cause I always knew, like, I want to work on cars, I want to work for the family business. And then I always had this idea in my head that I wasn't going to make it to 30. And that's kind of when my life went downhill, was 29 to 30. And I had started bartending, so it made it easier to get alcohol and
Access.
everything else that goes with alcohol.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of to the point where I just kept drinking and drinking until that one day I just kind of had my full mental blow up and ended up running through the woods and jumped out of my truck and just ran through the woods. And I was like, all right, this is where I end it all. And finally, I kind of took a minute to breathe and kind of got clear headed. I came home and the police are waiting for me and said, look, I said, you have options. You go to the hospital or you go to rehab. They're like, or if you really want to argue this, you can go to jail. And I'm like, well, in my head, I'm like, well, where's the better food? And I'm like, so they said, I said, what is my really best option? And in my head, I knew I needed the help. I didn't know if I was willing to accept it. 'Cause I always heard, I said, oh, like, why wouldn't I go to a hospital? Because the place I ended up going is a crisis center, which is a rehab and a center for people that are trying to take their lives. And then I ended up going, I was like, all right, well, I'll try that place. So I heard what the hospital psych ward looks like, and I don't want to do that. So I went to going to the center, and it was peer based. So everybody that worked there, besides the doctor, was a recovering addict or a suicide survivor or a relative of somebody that took their life. So
Wow.
see, I felt like they were able to relate to me versus saying like, oh, like I read on the internet, this is what you should do, or I read in a book, this is what you need to do. They said, well, this is what worked for me, or this is what worked for my family member. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I actually feel like I can talk to you and versus a therapist or somebody like, oh, well, why do you feel that way? They actually they didn't question it. They understood what you were saying.
Right.
And at that point, I was kind of ready to accept the help. So I started doing all the classes they had and the group sessions. I kind of just talked with other people that were in there. And then I got out and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a beer. And it didn't taste the same. I got out, I drank the beer, I'm like, this doesn't taste the same. And that's when I kind of felt like I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it up. And then I really took so I would say probably that was probably a year into my Volkswagen history that I ended up going downhill like that. And then that's when I reached out to Dino and I reached out to Jack and we started the show.
Yeah. So we're here. Let's switch gears. And thank you for sharing some of those
Yeah,
dark times with
absolutely.
me in your childhood and then even into adulthood. So 4 years ago, you went to your first Volkswagen show.
Mhm.
What
So it
made
would
you
have been bug out, whatever it was, 85.
okay?
And it's sad to say that the way that it was run from 85 to whatever 87, it's sad what happened to it because Wes Stager, the guy that started it all, was a good guy. People have mixed feelings about him, but I mean, I've known him a long time, and I always felt he was a great guy. And then that's kind of when I went to bug out, I was like, this isn't what I remember it being. And it felt like a scam. And when I pushed my car wasn't running at the time, I literally pushed off the trailer and wherever it landed is where I set up the show area. And then and that's when I met Jack and he was sitting next to me. So I talked to him and his wife and kind of just kept in touch. I ran into a few other shows and then when I started the show, Jack was kind of helping me with the outreach, planning it and promoting it. And he was asking, he's like, how long have you been in the Volkswagens? I was like, when I met you. He's like, you mean like a year ago? I'm like, yeah. He's like, and now you're running one of the biggest shows on the East Coast. I said, I guess so. He's like, you're so modest. I'm like, well, yeah. So I don't look at myself like that. I'm like, I was because my idea was like, I don't want to drop his name, but like the way that he scammed all those people using the bug out name, it put a bad taste in the mouth of people with the whole bug stuff, especially in this area. So I've known the local track owner for pretty much my whole life. When I reached, both had the mental idea of starting the show, but didn't know where to go. So he was like, well, let's start a show together and we'll go from there. So I just when I reached out to Jack, I reached out to Dino and kind of just took it. I was like, let's make a show for the people. Keep everything cheap. No vendor fees, no additional fees for anything like registration. It's just $20 a person to get into the show, register, set up a vendor spot, whatever. And then with the racing, it's just the normal track fees. You pay the $40 tech card and you go from there. But I mean, that kind of just took it as like let's give back. Let's
Yeah.
make it a true family show to where you can just come and relax and not have to worry about spending $100 just to get into the show.
Yeah, I like that vibe for sure. We're able to do that too through a couple of our events throughout the year. Now, a couple of them we can't, unfortunately, because just to get police and close down the roads and, get access to the venue, it's, close to 20 grand. So we obviously got to divvy that cost up. But I'm interested because I met Jack myself. He's been on the show
Mm-hmm.
and his wife, which is awesome. But for those that don't know, we're talking about Jack Sims. And for me, I want to back up just a little bit and go back to kind of the beginning for you and Jack. Tell me about meeting, Jack for the first time. What happened? How'd you meet? How'd you guys meet? What was that? Give me that story.
Him and his wife had their cars parked next to mine. He was kind of just admiring their cars. He admired mine. And it was just kind of talking. And then like I met a few other guys at the show and Jack was the only one I really stayed in touch with at the time. And then I just kept seeing him at other shows and we just kept talking and talking. And then he mentioned the whole all VW thing that he does, and
Yeah.
kind
So
of went from there. And I realized that he's the guy that could help me really get this show off the ground.
he's got something going, man, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you think then about him and about his wife really stood out so much to you?
Just the fact they were so they were welcoming. They were very like from the get go, they were super nice. And they weren't like I feel like most strangers when you meet them are kind of off putting. And especially from an older person to looking at a younger person.
Right.
Because I'm 32 and I look like I'm 20. So they thought maybe I didn't want them to think. A lot of people think I'm some punk kid, or I go to stores and see all my tattoos. Like, oh, this guy doesn't steal.
Right. Unfortunately, that's society as being the judge, right?
But meeting Jack and his wife, it was like meeting family members. It was kind of just, it was like really warm and welcoming.
Overall, did it because of your past, being bullied, etc., did it surprise you how welcoming the VW community was?
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like coming from like the import world where everybody's like, oh, let's race. Your car's junk. No matter like in the Volkswagen, it doesn't matter what your car looks like.
No.
If you roll in with your four pants touching the ground and one headlight, people like it's cool.
And that's something.
There's no judgment in the Volkswagen world.
I love that feeling. And I feel it. I feel it every event, and you're right. So in your life, you're still a young man. In your life, in the Volkswagen community, you're relatively new to it, right? Last 4 years or so. Was
And
this
it would have
really
been
kind of like the first?
2021, 2022, right in
Yeah,
the middle of there.
yeah.
Yeah,
So 5 years ish. Was this really like the first time you felt like you really belonged to a community, to a group?
absolutely.
Yeah.
It was kind of just, I mean, it felt natural.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome, man. Good. Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Absolutely. Thanks for
Uh,
having me.
so talk to me about like how'd you come up with an idea then for maybe starting your own show? When did that idea first kind of hit you?
Well, so when I was growing up, my dad was in a local car club and he kind of helped run the yearly show they did. And I saw kind of what went into it. So I kind of had an idea of how to do it. And then once I saw kind of how Bug Out went down, I always heard stories of how Bug Out was back in the day. So I was like, what if we kind of just start our own show with a different name but have the same idea, but go off the old school guideline? So I ended up reaching out to Wes, and he sent me everything that he had from Bug Out #1 to when he sold it. So I have like original trophy designs, like layout plans that have never been seen, never been used,
Cool.
flyer designs, and pretty much everything you ever need to run a show. So kind of went off of that and just kind of I was like, I want awards that are different. I don't want to be the same, have plaques or give away the same awards that every other show does. I want to stand out.
Yeah.
And that's all we do. We do these custom license plates, and every show is a different layout. So like we kind of try to go off the Virginia antique license plate style. The first one was blue and white or blue and yellow, and then went to silver. The first one is silver and black, not really off the Virginia, but kind of in the same idea.
Now, I know you had said in your backstory that when you had this idea to start promoting this thing that you had reached out to Jack first.
Mm-hmm.
What advice did he give you early on?
It's a lot of work. He said it's a lot of work. He said just be honest, be yourself. He said just as long as you're honest and you're open to people. He said and you don't try to do any scummy stuff. He said people will support it.
Yeah, I think that's probably sound advice. What's the hardest part for you in promotion currently?
Sponsorship.
Yeah, amen. Took the word right off the front of my tongue here.
It's not it's
Hardest
not
part
the talking to people, it's the asking for money or asking for raffle items. I've never been good with asking for help in general.
Yeah,
I
well,
haven't reached out to somebody who
we're
runs
men,
a company or has 10 times more money than I have.
right?
As anybody knows, rich people don't want to give up their money. It's kind of
there's also this thing with like, and I feel this way even as I'm 48, I got 5 kids. I feel like people look at me and they're like, "No, man, that's your hobby. Like, go do your thing. That's cool. Like, don't bother me with it." But like, it's a platform, for
exactly.
local business owners, etc., to really to put on slash to put on for their community. And then this Volkswagen community is very large in my area. And these local companies that support us, like they get put in the spotlight, man. And
Mhm.
I don't want to I don't want to like have to sell that thought to people. I want them to just see
Exactly.
it and then just reach out, but they don't.
It's,
Like you really have to work for
mhm.
sponsorship. So I feel that. I feel
It's
exactly what
the
you're saying.
hardest part because the show is held at the same place where all the bug out shows were. People think that secretly the guy that ran the bug out and ran it down is behind the scenes pulling strings.
Ah,
So it's
got it.
kind of like dealing with the fact of like trying to get out there that we're a different show, we're a new name, new people, and we're properly run. So certain companies are like, "Oh, isn't this the same show?" I'm like, "No, it's a different show, different people. Like we don't have any LLC things or anything. We're just kind of just a group of guys, true Volkswagen enthusiasts putting a show on."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And just
Wonderful.
kind of going into the fourth show, I finally kind of have the that I think is finally out there that we're a good show and a decent group of guys.
I'm
Which
gonna,
shows the act of trying to ask for help, ask for money.
yeah,
Like I have a few sponsors that come back every year, and they're big, huge helps. Like
huge.
Cookers VW, they're one of my biggest sponsors every year. Great guys and awesome support.
Yeah,
I
man.
know if it was somebody's car broke down at the show, they'd be willing to look at it. It's kind of a thing where I can call and say, "Hey, look, I know you gave me this much, but we're like a little bit short on this." He would help me.
Yeah, that's super awesome that you have that and have that comfort in somebody where you can even, kind of reconnect
Mhm.
when you need to and even ask for additional help. We've got a couple, I'd say probably 3, maybe 4 companies that are regulars. I'd call
Mhm.
them a regular sponsor. And usually by the end of the show, they're already looking at me signaling, "Hey man, count me in for next year,"
Yeah.
like, and that's a good feeling because I just like you, I struggle with that side of it. Everything
Mhm.
else I feel like is kind of, I'm not going to say easy, but it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be,
Yeah.
the city, doing permits, getting insurance, all that stuff. It's like, brother, it's all in a day's work. The hardest
Mhm.
part is getting community money. It's getting
I mean,
sponsorships.
thankfully, the easy part of this is we don't have to have permits or insurance or anything. It's all under the track.
Oh man, yeah,
So the
that's
hardest part, I mean, the
beautiful.
hardest part about the day of show is getting it because it's a two-lane road, one lane each way. So traffic does back up quite a bit trying to get in there.
Hmm.
But once you're in there, I mean, it's easy. We try to separate it so people that the groups that go there just for the show and the vendors don't have to deal with the race cars. We have the race cars over on one side and everything else, spectators, show cars, vendors, all on the other side. We have our own little food court, everything you need.
Fun. Sounds awesome. It's on a racetrack.
Yeah,
So tell me about the name Bug Invasion. Where did the name come from?
it was kind of just toying with different names and the track owner. I mean, so it's pretty much me and him are the main people behind the show. Then you have Dino, that's a huge help, big sponsor every year, and then he runs the car show side. So it just kind of came up. We're like, well, we don't want to do Bug Out. We can't use that name. So it's kind of just what can we do that sounds cool and grabs your attention. And we toyed with like 3 different names, and then the only one that really clicked was Bug Invasion.
Okay.
Sounds cool, and you can toy with different intros to it. Now, as you can see, I mean, the logos are cool. The way the writing is. I have
Yeah.
a great artist that knocks it out of the park every show. He has free range to do whatever he wants on the flyer, and I don't even have to admit. I never have to correct anything. I'm like, it's perfect.
I love that feeling. We have a couple of guys down here that help us out with artwork for our promotions as well. Um, and it's the best feeling in the world when you get it back the first time and it's just,
Mhm.
oh,
Yeah,
and they're like, well, what would you change? I'm like, I would change nothing.
exactly.
Yeah, good feeling. Good feeling
Like
for
I use Jason Wharton out of Maryland, and awesome guy, a pinstriper, artist, anything you ever need.
sick.
He's the guy.
Yeah, cool, man. Shout out to him for sure. So, what was your vision for the first show? Take me back to just this is the number 4 coming up. So, what was your
Yeah,
vision for the first show? I know collectively you wanted to kind of spin off of the old, what you heard was,
yeah.
yeah, but give me your
It
version
was
of it.
kind of just, have a successful day. I didn't care if 10 cars showed up. I just wanted to have a successful day and make people happy. And then, the first show was bigger than I ever thought it was going to be.
It's
Because
always
people, like I said, people kind of had a bad taste in their mouth from the previous ones. So it's kind of just like, oh, like, how do we know if people are actually going to show up? It goes back to the old days where if you have a party, you're like sitting there like, okay, it's 9 o'clock. Where is everybody?
right.
And then, cars just started rolling in and spectators started rolling in. And then we ended up getting the first show had a rainstorm. And it was kind of just, we're sitting up in the tower, just watching people, and the field was still packed. Show cars were still packed. Spectator was still packed all the way. Nobody was leaving. Me and the tracker are just sitting there looking at each other like, is this real? Even the racers stayed. Cars were still lined up in the pits. And you're just kind of like, okay, like, why is nobody leaving? Is there something wrong? And then the rain stopped and everybody came back out. So like it's just, I mean, I feel like any other car show, people would have been gone. Show would have been cleared out. But it's just like starting over.
When you consider doing this, and I'm kind of I relate, I guess, because I promote events as well. But when you thought about doing this, tell me I guess, what were you scared most of when you first pulled the trigger and you said, all right, this is it. We're rocking it. We're doing it. Here's the name. Here's what's up. What'd you fear the most?
Failing.
Failing. Okay. I guess that's touche. Me too. But my failure wasn't that it was going to be due to me. My failure was going to be due to people not showing up. And
Yeah.
that's what I thought, right? It wasn't like I wasn't going to fail in the aspect of my effort. I wasn't going to fail in the aspect of, the artwork, the flyers, again, the
Mhm.
on the business side of the event. I wasn't going to fail. I was hoping that it was going to be reciprocated. And my passion was going to be felt, as I'm sure you felt and feel the same way. So yeah, failure. I can take that. Tell me this.
As you know, the hardest thing with the show is, like you said, the cost.
Yes. And a lot,
Awards are
a lot of
crazy
people in the
expensive.
multi community don't understand that.
Exactly.
I can say that very comfortably.
Especially with like events like mine where you have racers as well. A lot of these racers aren't local. So you got to have payouts high enough for them to be willing to travel.
Right.
And a lot of guys won't travel for more than $500. I have some of the highest payouts on the East Coast. We're pretty much tied with two other events, but we try to keep it where we can afford it versus also making it grab their attention and want to come down.
So aside from the costs, sheerly, what do people not realize about running a car show?
The work that goes into it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure nobody's ever going to be completely happy.
Yeah.
I get complaints all the time of, well, cars shouldn't win this award. You need to have top 20 versus just top 10. Because the way that I look at it, if you didn't win an award, there's a reason why you didn't win an award.
Yeah.
Like, build a nicer car. I hate to be like sound like that, but if you're not winning awards, build a nicer car.
We don't even put like judging, etc., in the hands of anybody that has anything to do with promotion slash
Mhm.
the event itself. We usually put it in the hands of the sponsors and or, we try to go in that route. We try to have a lot of classes, etc. But you said it best. You can't satisfy everybody.
No.
And every year it's the same thing, for us as well. We get a couple people that complain and they want to give their feedback, and I'm comfortable to take their feedback. I can take it on the chin, it's no problem.
Yeah. Because like for me, like going to car shows, are awards nice? Yeah, because it shows your hard work paying off. But I've never really cared for awards. My dad makes fun of me for it. He's like, "Well, you sound like a loser," and I'm like, "Not really." I was like, "I go for the connections, hang
Yeah.
out with my friends, meet people." I was like,
Yeah.
"If I win an award, cool. I appreciate it. It'll go up on the wall with the rest of them. But if I don't, cool. I had a good day with some friends."
Yeah. And that's the vibe for the community, man. That's the VW community for sure.
Mhm.
Your first event, looking back at it, what went wrong?
Honestly, nothing.
Ha! Great, great, great,
Like,
great way to say that.
like even Jack and Dino will back me up. Like we kind of just sat there, like, "Wow, we did it."
Yeah.
I mean, there was a couple of things like you're gonna make adjustments on, like the way traffic flows or whatever, but nothing truly went wrong.
All right. What went right?
Everything. I
Oh,
mean, to keep it short, I mean everything.
and that's where you get the motivation to say, all right, man, like, what's up? When's the next one? When are we doing this again? Right?
I mean, 'cause
I know
in my
that's
head, I kind of thought
fun.
like maybe this will be a one and done thing, and then it kind of just like I looked at the tracker and I was like, "Are we doing this next year?" He said, "Yeah, let's do it again."
So I want to congratulate you because I also noticed in your past and when you sent me your information that you had mentioned that you're 3 years sober.
Mhm. February 25th.
Yeah, man. I gotta congratulate you there. Tell me what sobriety means to you at this point in your life.
I mean, at this point in my life, honestly, like I don't think about it much. Like the first like 6 months to a year were the hardest. Because I mean, especially in the dating scene, everything is like, oh, let's go to a brewery, let's go to a bar and have a drink.
Right.
Like, well, I can't really do that, and it's just like people feel awkward drinking around you. So especially like the same thing with friends. People are like, oh, well, I don't want to like make you uncomfortable. I'm like, I'm fine. Like maybe like when I was in the first 6 months to a year, yeah, I was uncomfortable. I didn't go out. I mean, now I'm like, yeah, like do whatever. Like it doesn't affect me. Like I have my sodas, I have my water. Like I'm fine.
How did the Volkswagen community support you in sobriety?
So a lot of like, I mean, I make my like occasional Facebook post about it, but I never really was out there in the open with it with everybody. Like I talked to Jack about it. I've talked to like Dino about it because Dino, in his background, his family kind of ran a sobriety clinic. So it's kind of just like I talked to him about it when I first met him, and then Jack, and then the couple my regular little circle that I hang out with, they know about it. But I never really. It kind of just like I said, it felt welcome. I felt like I fit in, so I didn't feel like I had to like numb any pain or feel like I had a drink.
Now, for those that don't know, this is Dino Styles, Dino's Garage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably could have mentioned that.
Yeah, that's okay. Just want to make sure that we give credit where it's due. Awesome guy, been on the podcast as well. Quite the story, and just a super guy. I very recently went and picked up a 1995 Eurovan from a dude's
Mhm.
garage. Not running, hasn't been started since 2001. I still got some work to do to get it started. But Dino reached out to me, man, was in my DMs. We were
Mhm.
texting back and forth, and he was just giving me some advice and some tips, and just a super guy. I kind of connected with him from the first time that we chatted and talked, and he was even supportive of my podcast for quite some time. So super thankful for my relationship with him as well.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I mean, probably one of the nicest guys I know.
Super nice guy for sure. Do you think that the car show scene, not just Volkswagen community, but I guess bug invasion as a whole, do you think it helps you like with accountability?
Oh, absolutely. So I mean, like I feel like once I stopped drinking, I feel like I had to do something to fill that time to where I would have been at the bar or out partying.
Right.
So I feel like keeping myself busy with the Volkswagen show, like a lot of people don't realize that it's year round. That it's year round work. It's not just a couple weeks or a day. We got to work year round for this show. And that was the problem with volunteers. Like, well, I need somebody to talk to this person, or I need somebody to do outreach. And I can't do it all myself. And then it got to the point where like, all right, well, this person doesn't really want to help, or it's too much for this person. And it wasn't the fact, like, I understand everybody has a life, they have kids, a job. So I'm not trying to take away from that. But I need somebody who's willing to take this show to the next level and wants to be there, not just to be there for the get recognition for it.
Yeah,
I want people that want to be a part of this.
I have found that that's actually a challenge for us as well is volunteers. We do have
Mhm.
some, that come and that help and support us with the shows, but we want we want more and we want to be in more areas. And through Salty Dub, we want to set up at all the shows, locally, and we want to
Mhm.
support them and we want to sponsor them and we want to be, as supportive to the Volkswagen community as everybody is as supportive to us when they come to our shows. But we're only it's me and my buddy Alan. We're only two guys.
Mhm.
We both have businesses and we both work and right and we both have families and young kids and I'm not bitching. I'm not complaining. Believe me, I love the opportunities that we get through, promotion and through, hosting events. But I'm gonna agree with you in it's hard to find people that can stay committed all throughout the year.
Mhm.
We only do 4 events. But it's a year-round effort. You're planning for a show with, 200 to 300 cars, 300 to 400 cars. You're planning for that 6 months out. You're getting
Yeah.
sponsorships, right? And so it wraps up 4 weeks later. You kind of wake up from the effect, like the wake of after the show and the picture,
Mhm.
all the viral reels and all the stuff that happens, and you finally kind of the dust settles, and you're like, "Holy shit, we got to start planning again."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because sometimes I forgot about it. Like I'm like, oh crap, we're in March, April. Like I gotta start planning.
yeah, crazy.
Mhm. I try to like not plan too far ahead, 'cause especially like in the previous year, a lot of people can't say like, oh, I can't start sponsorships until January. But the easiest thing, like I feel like asking for raffle items are a lot easier than asking for money.
Yeah,
Money would be great because it could help the track and myself not have to put out so much money.
right.
But I mean, because sponsor like sending raffle items, they can write that off. Like I have like MST, they're a new sponsor for this year,
Nice.
and they sent this really cool like two pulleys bolted together with a clock in the center. And I mean, it's probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then like Pat Downs, he's another big sponsor. He sends a couple of distributors for every show to raffle off, and it's awesome. And I use his products and everything, whether
Yeah,
I'm building a engine for a customer or building engines for myself. It always has a Pat Downs engine kit on it.
awesome, man. So I'm curious to hear from your perspective how different your mindset is now, 3 years sober, versus what your mindset was like 5 years ago, say. I know you said
Yeah,
earlier you don't like when people say where or you didn't like when people said
yeah.
where you see yourself in 5 years. Looking back now that you're 3 years past it, what was your mindset like 5 years ago compared to what it's like today?
I mean, 5 years ago, I mean, it was pretty much like, okay, like this, I'm gonna end it. Like, let's just get it over with. But it was also the point like where I can't do it to my family, but at the same time, like I can't keep living like this. And now I was like not only starting the show, but finding the right group of friends that aren't going to get me in trouble or aren't going to keep pushing me towards the wrong path. I'm just feeling like I feel happy. I feel like normal.
Yeah. You found your place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If you had to summarize it, what keeps you grounded most now?
Volkswagens. I mean, because keeping myself busy doesn't give me time to sit there and think about it.
So let's talk about upcoming dates then for Bug Invasion. So
Mhm.
we can make sure that we put some dates out there. We've got May 24th coming up
Mhm.
and then September 6th.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're most excited about for this next show.
Honestly, just seeing everybody. I
It's about
mean, the
connection.
shows, we kind of have our rhythm now to where Dino just runs his side, I run my side, and I kind of just like, I'll bounce back and forth throughout the day and just check in, see everything. But I mean, we kind of have our rhythms. I mean, it's just kind of just socializing at this point. Seeing those people that we haven't seen all year or having a successful day.
So when me and Alan do our shows, we're adamant that we do a whole bunch of work leading up to it, but like day of, we don't really want to do much because we want
Mhm.
to enjoy, kind of like the fruits of our labor. We want to enjoy, we want to see everybody. It's the same thing for us.
Mhm.
We want to connect. We want to, be there and enjoy the time with all the other, folks that show up. So yeah, man, I vibe with that. Looking into the future for Bug Invasion, what's the long-term vision? Are we trying to get bigger? Are we doing more locations? Are we staying grassroots? What are your thoughts?
I want to stay kind of grassroots, keep it at the same place as long as possible. I mean, we kind of have our rhythm, like we know how everything's gonna be laid out versus having to replan everything to start fresh. So it's kind of just like definitely want to get bigger, and if we can make more room, better. If we can find if it comes to the point where we have to find another venue, I want to find something where it kind of has the same feeling, the same vibe.
Okay.
'Cause I don't want to change it from a racetrack to a high school parking lot. Like I want to be able to keep the races going, kind of have everything going on. We even try to like include the younger kids. We do a Power Wheels race between time trials and eliminations where kids are racing their Power Wheels on the actual track using the Christmas tree and everything.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Goes to the 60 foot, and I mean, it's the cutest thing ever.
I
The
bet.
way we can make them feel included and they actually feel like they're out there racing like their dad or their grandparents.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
awesome,
awesome.
bro. That's super
I
cool.
had a kid the last event. Family's big time racers, have been racing their whole lives, Volkswagen enthusiasts. Little kid came up to the starting line and they're supposed to stop at the 60 foot. I was standing right there with the flag. Kid just kept going. All the way past the 8th mile mark, and I'm chasing behind him the whole time, yelling, "Stop, stop!" And he just kept going. And then he finally stops and he looks up at me like, "Did I win?" I'm like, "Yeah, you won, but I'm out of breath."
Yeah, that's awesome, man. When people leave your event, what is it that you hope that they feel?
Like it was a success. Like they had like a good day. Like they had fun. Like it wasn't didn't feel like they didn't feel bored. I try to keep like good music going and the raffle. People kind of keep people interested with the
Yeah,
rate between racing and the parallel stuff.
yeah.
Try to keep something going different all the time. Trying to add new activities every event and just
Have a
try to keep it fresh so it doesn't feel like the same thing every time.
right. But that there's a balance there. And I've kind of noticed that balance actually exists. And here's what I mean. A lot of the Volkswagen community, especially the older folks, they're okay with showing up, setting up, their
Mhm.
little kind of campsite slash area. They're okay with setting up, they're okay with chilling. They don't
Mhm.
need, it's like when we try to do something every hour or every 45 minutes or every 30 minutes and we try to make it eventful, that's actually when we've gotten some complaints in the past
Yeah.
where people are like, yo, slow down, bro. It's you
Mhm.
guys are trying to do too much. What's the point? You're like, if I didn't do anything, you were going to complain that we didn't do enough.
Because besides the awards, like I was saying, and the other complaint we get is because our shows in the grass. Bug out held it all, the race cars and the show cars and the vendors all on the asphalt. And I'm like, it was too compacted and it was dangerous. You had little kids running around with race cars trying to warm up their cars.
Right.
It was just kind of the point where I was like, well, if I separate everything, then we don't have to worry about people getting hit and kind of just keep it separate so everybody has their own little area and they can spread out more. So we get the big complaint because it's grass and it's gravel going into it. Like, oh, I don't want to drive my show car through gravel. I'm like, well, then don't come. Like
Yeah,
it's like they're at the end of the day, they're cars. Yes, we want to keep them clean. We want to keep them nice.
right.
But I mean, it's 15 feet of gravel,
Yeah.
and
It's like,
I'm like, it's not going to change your life. It's not going to ruin your day.
yeah.
Like I'll take my bug through the mud. Like it doesn't bother me. I got a bug on air ride and slammed on the ground, but I'll take it through the mud. I had a guy last time complaining that I was like, oh, well, the field was a little muddy in spots. I'm like, okay. So when the show was over, I'm out there doing donuts in the field in the mud. And I'm like, just a car. I got a hose at home.
Yeah. So describe the Volkswagen community for me in just one word.
Family.
Family. Yeah, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, I got some rapid fire questions. All right. These are questions that demand a fast response. However, I don't want to stop you if a story comes out of them. All right. So if a story comes of any of these thoughts, so be it.
Mhm.
Let's rock with it. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Favorite VW body style?
Split window bug.
Okay. Split window bug.
Just it's a cool look.
It
Kind of
sure.
goes back to the whole like classic Corvette split windows and stuff, the old hot rods.
Yeah.
And
The
it's just a whole different look.
the dash is sick too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Pick one and one only. Air cooled or water cooled?
Air cooled.
All right. Best show memory so far.
Mm, I don't know, honestly. It's just having a good day, like having a success.
I'll
Like
give you a
everything.
recent one.
There's so many good memories with these shows. Like it's hard to just pick just one.
I'm gonna give you a recent memory from our one of our last shows that stands out to me, and I'm just sharing this because when I asked you the question, I thought, how would I answer this if somebody asked me? And then it came to my mind, so I'm gonna share it with you. We had a guy show up in an early uh, split single cab,
Mhm.
and in the bed of the single cab is this giant pound, probably 5, 6, 700 pounds of sand, beach sand,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, okay, like he came in the parade and everything in the morning. And he parks up front in the very front entrance of the show where all the spectators are coming off the pier and they come into the show. And for the first probably hour and a half of the show, first 90 minutes of the show, this dude is carving our logo out of a sand sculpture.
Oh, that's awesome.
And dude, it was sick. This guy is a master artist in sculpting sand, and he's spraying whatever it is, glue or whatever
Yeah.
it is to form it. But he makes V Dubs on the pier just the sickest logo out of this giant, 3.5 foot
Mhm.
tall, 5, 6, 7 feet wide. That anyway, that's gonna be my favorite
That's
memory.
awesome.
My
I mean,
favorite.
if I had to pick just one, it's probably chasing that kid down the track. I
Yeah.
mean, the people in the stands are yelling and clapping. I'm like, why are you clapping? I'm like, I'm out of breath.
That sounds awesome. All right, here's one for you that might go iffy because there might not be any hardest parts
Mhm.
for you. But what's the hardest part of staying sober right now?
Nothing. I mean,
Yeah, that's
I
easy.
keep busy. So if
Yeah,
keep myself busy, so like I work all day and then I come home and I go to my buddy's garage. We either work on Volkswagens or work on other side jobs. Just kind of keep ourselves busy. I come home, I eat dinner and go to bed. And they do the same thing the next day.
yeah.
I feel like, especially people that are trying to go through it themselves,
Hmm.
find an activity, find something that keeps you busy, whether it's going to the gym for hours on end or puzzles or whatever. Just find something to keep your mind busy.
Give me one person that stands out that you can attest or that you can even credit for changing your life.
My dad,
What's his name?
Daryl,
Tim.
he's been one of my biggest supporters from day one.
Yeah.
I know if I murder somebody right now and call him and say, Dad, I fucked up.
Where are we putting the body, son?
He would he might not do that, but he would try to help me the best that he could.
Yeah, I don't know. I would do that either. But that's what I envisioned when you started painting that picture. That's awesome though, man. Shout out to your dad. Okay, how about this one? Dream show location.
A bigger track. like a really like famous track like Z-Max Dragway or Las Vegas track, like just have the craziest Volkswagen event, four wide drags, something unique. Because like right now with like Bug Invasion, we're building a dirt drag strip. They're
Ooh,
going to try to be the first show in the country to have asphalt drags and dirt drags at the same event. So
dude.
have boom buggies and sand rails dragging one time, and then race cars going down the other track.
Yeah.
And
Super.
that's something me and Jack have been talking about since the beginning. It's
Okay.
just like we'd be the first. We've done all this research, and we can't find another show that's done it.
I've never heard of one that does it. I know Bug Jam down here. You probably heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the dirt track,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a motocross track,
Mm-hmm.
but for cars. Uh,
Yeah.
so they got the buggies and the rails and everything on that track, but it's pretty intense, bro. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
awesome. There's jumps and everything. Pretty crazy. Never seen a dirt track run a straightaway for a drag strip. That'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty cool. All right, how about this one? Maybe a story comes to this one. Worst burnout moment that you've had so far in the last 4 years as a promoter.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Just trying to keep the show going. So, I mean, sometimes like you get certain feedback, and you're like, well, why not? Why don't I just pull the plug? And if people aren't happy with this, why not just pull the plug and end it all?
Right,
Like if people aren't happy, like what's the point? Then you think about like, okay, not everybody's gonna be happy.
right.
I try to please them. I had one spectator or show guy was complaining because his stock bug didn't win an award. And I'm like, I go back to the thing of like build a car, customize it. And I'm like, okay, well, some people like their car stock. I get it, I respect it. So I created a class for just best stock.
Yeah, for the
I
purist.
mean, you can have like with that limitation, like if you change the wheels or something simple, the trim. But like, just I tried to do that, and he still wasn't happy.
Can't satisfy everybody. That's what I've
Yeah.
learned for sure. And I've known that actually throughout most of my life. But in then becoming a promoter, I've learned more that you really just can't satisfy everybody, so don't try.
Hmm.
Appease the masses, go with your gut, do what you think's cool because 90% of the time it is.
Yeah.
'Cause guess what? Who else is doing it?
No way.
Okay. So winning already right there. All
Hmm.
right. Here's
Exactly.
one for you. What's one thing that the VW scene does better than any other car scene out there?
It's all about family and helping each other. Whether it's making a Facebook post saying that you need this part right now, or if you need help with somebody, there's somebody everywhere that can help you. Versus if you're driving down the road in an old Camaro and you need this, you're like, oh, well, I don't know anything about that, or I don't have that. There's more Volkswagen people out there than you think there is.
Amen
And
to that.
it's like, I never realized how big the Volkswagen community truly was. I saw them on the roads. I'm like, oh, cool, but like, where are you going to find that? And
Right.
even AutoZone and local parts stores have more Volkswagen parts than I ever thought they would.
Right. Give me one message that you would tell somebody who is struggling right now.
Reach out, talk to somebody. Even if you're not willing to accept the help, talk to somebody. Just if you can get, if you, more you hold it in, the more it's going to hurt you in the long run. If you're willing to accept the help and you know you need the help, then perfect. Check yourself into a center, ask for help, call 911. Honestly, that's the easiest thing. Just call 911. Say, oh, I'm struggling. I don't know what I'm going to do. My mind's kind of going back and forth. Just talk to them. Even the suicide hotline. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can reach out and talk to somebody and get the help that you need.
So talk to somebody. That's your message.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does belonging to you mean right now today?
Just fitting in. Doesn't matter what you have in life, as long as you have those people that care about you and support you, that's all that matters. You don't, I mean, even if you don't feel like you fit in, just find your people. They're out there, but they're not going to find you. You have to find them.
Tell me where people can find you. Where can they find Bug Invasion? How can they support what you're building? Because I think it's important that community supports each other. Where can they find you? How can they support you?
So Facebook, the Bug Invasion at Summer Duck, pop right up. Or you can go to the Summer Duck page. You can follow my personal page. We're always posting.
It says The Bug Invasion?
Yeah, The Bug Invasion at Summer Duck. Okay. Or you can go to my personal page. I usually make posts on my personal page that I'll share them to Bug Invasion or vice versa. Kind of just depends on what page I log into at that moment. But usually I post the same posts go on both pages.
Are you on any other socials or like YouTube, anything like that?
Not yet.
So just Facebook?
Yes, I'm not very technologically advanced.
All good.
I kind of just keep it with the Facebook, and that way I'm not forgetting to post here, not posting there.
What about email? If somebody wants to email you to holler at you?
It would be thebuginvasion@gmail.com.
Okay, cool.
That'd be the easiest way to get to me because that's a whole separate email.
Okay. Anything that you want to say to the VW community, or I don't know, maybe say to anybody?
Shout out to Jonathan Abrams, Mistress. You make my brain hurt, garage.
And that's a wrap for this episode of DubLife Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at DubLife Diaries or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. DubLifeDiaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning, and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.